Welcome back, everybody, to Crows of Judgment. I am so sorry. I was actually here sitting at my computer half an hour before we went live. But you see, before we went live, my wife came into the room and told me I needed to eat dinner. So we've been in the process of ordering food. And apparently, I'm not allowed to eat steak because of my cholesterol. Right? Go ahead, say it.
You can't eat steak all the time. Steak is good in moderation, but you are a steakhead.
Okay, but it's okay, but
you're gonna get some salmon.
Okay, but I don't want the salmon.
Yeah, you do.
Okay,
today's November 1.
Can I just not eat?
November 1.
Can I just eat some water?
We're starting off the year nice.
Yeah.
And years can start whenever we want it. So November 1 is the start of our year.
Okay, but if I can't have delicious steak, I'd rather not eat.
Order you salmon, shut up.
Oh man. Give me all right.
Eat steak whenever he wants. The one time I'm like, no, babe, just don't get steak this
week. But like, what kind of person demands that I can't eat steak?
You had steak this weekend.
Okay, that was
you made it for everybody and served it.
I made it for everybody. It wasn't just for me.
I know that was good, but I'm saying like.
Okay, then we are agreed. I should eat steak now.
November 1, salmon.
What about November 1?
Salmon.
No, it's the start of the month. I should eat steak. I'm gonna eat steak at the start of the month.
Start of the salmon month.
Just in case I can't eat it later. Kai, for those of you who aren't aware, Kai accused Sen of being a filthy fucking racist. I got Kai, who is saying that he put out a copyright strike on the guy because he's annoying. He doesn't care if he gets backlash for it because the other person is full of it. I don't even know what to fucking say about that, right? Like, that's people say mask off. I don't know if I would necessarily say mask off. I think Kai is pretty open about what a piece of shit he is. But look, man, if you're going to put out a strike on somebody, it's got to be for legitimate reasons. Harley ratioed Kai so bad. Kai called his more successful girlfriend to help him. Oh, Kai called his more... Oh, my God. Let's talk about Ruby fucking Rose. Because this is more interesting to me than a lot of the drama that we've covered. Because what you have here is... I want to say... I want to say like a well-known actress, right? A decently well-known actress, right? Who is alleging... Gosh, I want to say abuse, right? And I guess you could call it that, but nothing so strong. But more like just alleging really, really bad treatment by these people, and potentially like some illegal shit too, because that director is, again, I'm willing to believe it, casting girls based on, who touches his pants the best. If there was an investigator, right, and that investigator turned in a report that said Ruby Rose was injured on set, her injury is legitimate, and so the studio fires that investigator, hires someone else, and that person issues out a statement just saying, no, she was injured when she was doing yoga. I feel like Ruby Rose should get a sworn statement from the original investigator, because that seems like seems a little bit suspicious. Ruby Rose, I don't think really cares about the girl that got injured. I think that she's just using that to justify her hatred of the studio and her displeasure that she was forced to work during COVID. Because it sounds like she didn't want to do that. So she goes like off to bed, but deciding between releasing Carolyn's email about not being an LGBT activist or feminist. But saying, okay, like this is the time where I go like, I really don't want to be involved in this one, right? Like like Ruby Rose is like, she isn't a feminist like I am, and she's not a real ally to the gay people like I am, because I am of the gays. On Thursday, October 21st, 2021, Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office deputies were dispatched to 545 Bonanza Creek Road, Santa Fe, New Mexico, in reference to an incident regarding a gunshot trauma. The assistant director, Dave Halls, grabbed one of 3 prop guns, real guns, that was set up by the armorer, which was on a cart. The cart is a gray in color rolling table with 2 layers and was left outside of the structure due to COVID-19 restrictions. Fucking COVID, I swear to God. Because of COVID, the reason why she let the guns out was because COVID-19 restrictions required her to leave the guns out. Like, what the fuck? I really can't fathom the COVID-19 restriction that tells you that it's okay to leave a fucking pile of guns out, but okay.
Yeah, how does that? I don't get that. Why? What are the guns gonna do for COVID inside? Like, why can't they be inside? Why do they need to be outside?
Well, you see, it's harder to get COVID if you're standing outside, so she didn't want to put the guns inside where they could catch COVID.
Oh my god! So it's like a middle place. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go out here, put the guns there, and then I'm gonna run into this other building. Then you come out of your building, grab the guns, and run back into your building, kind of thing. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, that makes more sense than whatever the hell went on here. Affiant later learned the assistant director did not know live rounds were in the gun, the real gun, when he had given the real gun to the actor Alec Baldwin. Affiant learned what had happened to the real gun once it was fired. The real gun was handled by
wait, why are you calling it the real gun? Wait,
because they keep calling it the fucking prop gun, and I'm like, it's not a fucking prop
We're
gun.
just sitting there going like, is this the real gun? No, this is the real gun. No.
But like, who said it was a real gun other than the affidavit? Like, was it reported as a real gun?
Well, no. Everybody's been calling it the prop gun. I'm like, but it's a real gun. Like, I'm not calling it a prop gun. I'm just going to call it a real fucking gun. What's the number 1 rule? It's in the SAG. It's in the number 1 rule of gun safety. You always treat it. But Steve, it's a real gun.
Yeah, but like referring to as prop gun.
This is why I get pissed off when I keep seeing people say prop gun. Because now we have this confusion. We're sitting there saying like, well, of course he thought it was because it's a prop gun. No, they're real fucking guns. Okay? They're not prop guns. They are real firearms. They were always real firearms. Alec Baldwin had used those real firearms before. Days before this, his own stunt double accidentally discharged one of the very real guns. Okay? There is no confusion here. This is not a prop gun. Okay? He was never working with a gun that was incapable of firing a live round. He was always using a gun capable of firing live ammunition, right? So if you're going to tell me, like, Steve, I'm sorry if I'm getting frustrated with you. Like, I don't mean to, like, raise my voice. But my point is, right?
I'm not changing my mind. I don't think he's responsible on this. I think he was doing what he was told.
My point is, though, if you're going to tell me, well, of course he's not going to treat it if it's loaded because he was told it was cold. No. Even if you watch somebody, right? Like Steve, if you watch somebody literally load blanks into the gun in front of you, right? And then hand you the gun, you still have to treat the gun as if it is loaded, meaning you do not raise it and point it at another human being ever.
But he didn't see anybody load blanks into the gun.
Okay. I'm saying even if you saw blanks physically loaded into that gun within your eyesight, you literally saw the blanks go into the gun as it was handed to you, right? You still have to treat it as if the gun is loaded with live ammunition, right? It's literally
how do they do
number one
scenes where they're
rule.
Shooting at people in movies?
Well, because of most guns, like there's 2 ways going about it nowadays. There's where they use like fast acting shots. So like if I'm pointing, like say this was the gun and I'm pointing at it and the gun and the camera angle is at a certain angle where you can assume a projectile is coming out of, but it's not. That's usually like a dummy gun half the time. That's people with the actual real CGI budget. Like these guys were going for more practicality, which half the time depending on the genre and how it's shot, 50% of the time it works. But in the way that
it's like Alpha said, you're not really using CGI. You're angling the camera in ways to make it look like you're pointing at the person, but in reality, you're pointing it one way, it's completely out into the open, and then they're going to clip together another shot that makes it look as if you're pointing it at the person when the bullet goes out. Captain America is not really doing a fucking backflip and then like punching people and throwing his shield and shit.
No, I know,
right?
I know that, but I mean, like, that's how Bruce Lee died or whatever. He got accidentally shot because like people were pointing guns at him and shooting. So like you're saying, like after that instance, no one has ever pointed a gun at anyone in Hollywood ever again. So even in scenes where like a gun is being held to someone's head, like point blank, like that's not real. That's a camera effect or that's CGI.
But Steve, for certain shots, right? Like you are supposed to be using fake guns, right? Like you have guns that are just straight up fake and made of plastic, are not loaded with actual bullets. But those would literally be the definition of a prop gun. And what I'm saying is it gets really confusing when they talk about this story because they keep referring to the actual live firearms as prop guns when they're not. This set was not using prop guns. They were using real firearms the entire time. This set never used prop guns. Or at least according to all the information from everything out about this set, they were always using real firearms. And the crew was using those firearms for target practice, which is also like another violation because you're never supposed to be bringing live ammunition onto a film set, which for some reason they were doing and being allowed to do it.
Yeah, so I think if Alec knew that there was live ammunition on the film set, it wasn't just like the other people, and he knew about the other instance, and like you can argue that he had like a moral obligation to like not be so negligent, but I still think like if there's two people checking the gun supposedly, and like there's been concerns before, so you think like they've been settled and everything, and you're just doing what you're being told. I think it's like the people who are telling you what to fucking do. I can get your point, like, yeah, you don't like point a gun at someone's head and shooting a gun safety and all that, but
actually,
I think it's an accident.
Even if you give him that somebody else was checking the gun, right? Even if you ignore what had recently happened just days earlier with the stunt double, where he was given a gun and told it was cold, right? Even if you ignore that Alec Baldwin is a producer on this movie and is heavily involved in it and should really know what's going on the set, even if you ignore all of that, Alec Baldwin still broke the number one rule. He pointed the gun at another human being, and then for some fucked up reason, right? Because cameras are not rolling at this point, decides to pull the trigger. I'm not arguing that he is like a homicidal maniac or anything. I'm saying that he was negligent. Yeah, I'm saying that he was negligent, and his negligence resulted in someone's homicide. Right? In the United States, it's literally called involuntary manslaughter. We have a criminal charge for it. So if you acknowledge that he was negligent, right? What we need to say then, did his negligence contribute to the death of another human being? Right?
Well, negligent if he knew the things, right? So it's contingent on if he knew what I said, right? So if it turns out that he did that, then yeah, I'd say that. Like if he knew that, then yeah, I'd say that he was being negligent for not taking the extra precautions, right?
Yeah, well, I would see this
more. I would see this more as a workplace accident than involuntary manslaughter.
I would say that my thing is, again, pointing the gun at another human being and pulling the trigger. I don't think Alec Baldwin or anyone else is stating that the gun had a hair trigger and that the gun was faulty in any way, shape, or form. I don't think anyone is arguing that.
Well, what do you mean? Can't it just have a hair trigger?
I don't think.
Well, maybe, but I think Alec Baldwin would have said that, or somebody would have said that for him. And been like, the gun had a hair. That the gun was faulty and it just went off, right? But Alec Baldwin isn't saying that. Like, I mean, that would have been like the first thing you think anyone would say is the gun is faulty. but they're not
Well,
arguing that.
it
at
is.
all.
It's under oath, right? Like it's a sworn
Yeah.
document. So like maybe if they can't prove or disprove it, they can't say it definitively until it's tested. Maybe, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
So I thought there'd be
the
more information in the affidavit. I would want
affidavit is based on the statements and the things that the police notice at the time. It's not based on you're under oath when we ask you a question, right? Like if they catch you lying, then it's different,
no, it is. It's under oath. Like the affidavit's under oath.
Well, but when they go there to do the investigation, you mean?
Yeah.
Anything in that affidavit said that it's under oath. Like it's all you can't. Yeah, they're not supposed to lie. It's illegal for them to lie in the affidavit at all. That's why it's like when it's like prop gun, I'm like it must be a prop gun then, or else like they're lying.
Yeah, but Alec
like,
Baldwin could still say like the gun was faulty. I didn't pull the trigger. Like I didn't squeeze the trigger.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Alec Baldwin's statement's not even in there. Like they didn't.
No, it's not. But,
yeah,
he said something on Twitter where he was like, I'm not responsible. This was a terrible accident and something like that. Hollis told police he couldn't recall how thoroughly he checked the weapon. David advised when Hannah showed him the firearm before continuing rehearsal, he could only remember seeing 3 rounds, he told detectives, according to an affidavit filed in Santa Fe County Magistrate Court. He advised he should have checked all of them, but didn't, and couldn't recall if she spun the drum, the assistant director allegedly told cops.
Now this.
Oh my god, that's really bad. That's okay. Yeah, so he's acknowledging he saw rounds in the gun. He's acknowledging he didn't know if the rounds were spun. So like that's basically roulette. And then you yell "cold gun" as you give it to the fucking actor that you know is going to be pointing it at the fucking camera. Dave Hall over here acknowledging that there's fucking rounds and a gun and handing it off, saying it's a cold gun. That's dope. I know he did that. Yeah. Is that even in the affidavit? Like, how are they getting this information?
Well, he did an interview and he told people.
What an idiot.